I would not by any way say that we are where we need to be.
As an employer, he said the man was just naturally more attractive, although their skill sets were same because these demands didn't come from him. In that situation, what exactly do you say? Because I'm not saying these are unreasonable demands, but they're still much more than what the other candidate is asking for.
So I think today there is a little too much focus as well on the gender rather than personality and ability.
I think quotas without other systems in place and other training and mentorship and growing of that population, I think you can really run into some trouble.
I think the fact that pay should be based on performance and not based on gender is becoming more and more clear.
There is one video that's just gone viral that is Be a Lady, they said. Let's just have a look at the video and then I'd love to know your opinions on it.
Be a lady, they said. Wear makeup. Highlight your cheekbones. Line your lids, fill in your brows, lengthen your lashes, color your lips. Powder, blush, bronze, highlight. Your hair is too short. Dye your hair, not blue. That looks unnatural. Look young. Old is ugly.
All right, so basically that was the Be a Lady, they said video. Very, very powerful video, but it's obviously, like most viral videos today, have received mixed opinions. I'm going to start with you. What did you think? What's the first thing that came to your mind when you watched this video?
I mean, I smile. I thought in my head it is controversial, it's thought-provoking, it's just classic. And I was very grateful in my head for a moment because, you know, thankfully my parents didn't really raise me with those kind of cliches. So I was trying to imagine other women who must have gone through that in their younger years. But at home, we are not like that. We tell our kids, I've got 2 boys and a girl, to be the best of who they are. And I can imagine, and I was wondering whether it is the voices of so many mothers out there, the question of, you know, how this generation was raised. Because, you know, after all, we are all a product of our circumstances and our upbringing. So what is it that we have brought forward, out of which, what is it that we have decided to not carry forward to the next generation?
Yeah.
And so are these the voices of moms out there, moms today, or dads, as you said in your case? So yeah, those were my thoughts.
But did you, however, any of y'all feel that this video was sort of like a blame game and they were trying to blame society, men, more so through this video? Is that something that came to your mind?
I didn't think it was a male voice.
Yeah.
Just like you said, there's a lot of mothers and women that perpetuate these patriarchal values. So I know that the way I was raised, not all of those things were there, but I was raised as a woman and a very traditional woman, and it's okay, you're pretty, you'll get married, it's fine. Like, you don't need to study that type of thing. Some of these things are very much the way I was raised by women and a culture. And not because these women hated me or they didn't want me to fulfill my potential, but this is just what was handed down to them. And this is what they were handing down to me, which didn't fit with me. So the voices I heard were not of men. I actually heard the voices of women.
Absolutely. Right. And I would say, like, if you're breathing, you've had social messaging. Like, there's no way you haven't had it. And I would say it's very strong and it's generational. You know, there is something called collective consciousness. There's something called ancestral lineage. So even if you haven't had it directly, it's in your blood. It's literally in your DNA. And so I think that that's something that has to be acknowledged. But, you know, I do find, I had an aunt who very lovingly told me I needed to be smart because I wasn't pretty. So she was like, your sister's a pretty one. You've got to be the smart one. So I was like, and I took it on. I was like, I'm going to be smart. I know. So, you know, and it was well-meaning, you know, and I had to take time to realize that that binary isn't ours. It's not mine. But I do struggle as a woman of faith because I think people have a very strong opinion about what, you know, and you were talking about a little bit before, about like, you know, what a woman should be in agency and stuff like that. And so, you know, because I choose to cover and in my own adaptation of covering, I'm always getting opinions from people about, you know, what it is to be liberated, what it is to be feminist. So I definitely heard women's voice. And I think that's why I have such an allergy to the word empowerment. It's like, I'm one of the most empowered people and I get lectured all the time because I choose to cover, and it drives me crazy.
So even today, I have friends who are super conservative. I have friends who are super liberal. I have friends from all nationalities. And it's the girls who put this pressure, not only on themselves, but amongst us peers, saying the judgment that they pass and how you should be. It's actually the males that have no opinion. They're very indifferent.
Well, so they created the structure. They
definitely did. But I mean,
stepped out.
for example, growing up in a house with 3 brothers, for them it was always indifferent what I wanted to do. It was the female, let's say, influences in my life that were more, oh, this needs to be a certain way and you need to act a certain way and society will see you in a certain way and in parties you need to represent yourself a certain way. And not to me. Thankfully, I never had that. But I saw it in friends that I surrounded myself with and the influences in their life, that it was always women in their life that pressured them into that angle. And I think in my house, it was because it was so male dominated that it was more like, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Be who you are.
Wear what you want to wear. And you know, my mom, thankfully, is very adaptive to that. She has 3 other boys. So for her, it was like, you're all in one kind of area.
But are there unrealistic expectations when it comes to the way women need to look, be, present themselves today?
I do think there are patriarchal values that women are perpetuating.
Right.
So there was a system in place that was very much constructed by men, I think. We just are really good at implementation probably. And so we as mothers have gone out and done the implementation and perpetuation of these values. But these values are patriarchal values.
Right.
They're not values necessarily coming out of women for women. They're just handed down.
Sorry to just jump right in because it's so powerful. But like, you know, going back to the statistic, more women have been killed in the 21st century than all wars combined. And so, you know, that is like, there's a high price for not falling in line. And there's a poet that I love that says like, men are so lazy, they have women hold patriarchy up for them. So just to kind of give you an amen, a holler, like from the Southern Baptist Bible Belt. So.
But you see these roles associated for men as well, right? So we saw it in the Gillette ad, for example. Of course, there's the men will be men, which is definitely derogatory. But there's also be a man.
Well,
you can't cry, you can't be sensitive.
Absolutely.
Right? We have toxic masculinity where men really have to break off from their feminine part of them, and where they really have to push down and repress their emotions, their creativity, their longing, their yearning, their feeling, everything, all of that has to be cut off, and they have to be only logical and only rational and only very much about the mind and disconnected from their bodies and disconnected from their hearts and their souls. So I've seen most of my work is with men. I only work with men actually at this point. And so all I see is this toxic masculinity that they have in their DNA that they can't break out of. And yes, there's a movement for women and, you know, feminism, but I actually really feel like I should be holding up some sort of like torch for men also that, listen, like, why don't we embrace the other side of men? But women won't let that happen either. So the man has to take care of me and the man has to provide. These are values that even very independent women have. So very independent women, the man still is the primary breadwinner. So why not? Why is a woman not so it actually is very I have a very, very mixed feeling about this whole women's movement. I feel like there needs to be a men's movement, but an integrated man who can be all that he is, while the woman can be all that she is, which is a balance of the masculine and feminine.
Honestly, I can see all the videographers behind the camera smiling and beaming that, you know, finally someone's spoken about it, and they completely agree with you.
This is for all of us. Really.
There is an International Men's Day, and there is the Manhood Project, which talks about divine masculinity. So these do exist, and you know, I think if you want, I can share the website if you want to share.
You know, popular culture hashtag type of thing that's happening.
Well, I mean, again, more women die than all wars combined. So, I mean, I think to try and act like it's equal, you know, with all due respect, because I love everything you're saying, it's a whole different level.
If we don't empower, or I should say, if we don't allow men to be in their full power.
Absolutely.
So when I'm raising 2 girls and 2 boys, I have 4 children and 2 of them. And so I'm looking at them. I'm asking her to be in her full power and you be all the masculine and feminine that you are. But I'm going to these boys and saying, you be all the masculine and feminine you are, because when you are whole, then society will be different. But I can't push one up and like not name the other.
All I'm saying though is it's like saying, you know, it's like when people try to talk about reverse racism, it's like there's a different level and price to be paid as a woman. Like men will not be killed for not being full men, whereas a woman will be.
No, I think
I don't
Saliha.
know. Men are dying by suicide. What is there? Like sorry, I just jumped in, but there's a lot of suicide. I think it's the number 2 cause of death is suicide.
Usually...
And so men are killing themselves. They don't need to be killed by someone else.
Yeah.
So it's still a really big issue. So I think women will not move any further if we don't have the man by our side.
I think we're talking about
Definitely.
gender roles at this point, and all of these roles that are assigned to them.
Yeah.
Men are victims of what the society has assigned to them, and
They're
women are
also
victims, of
victims
course.
of
We're not
patriarchy.
comparing here, but it's just that addressing the problems, basically. So with regards to the video we saw, it was more about beauty and everything that's external, most of the video at least over there. There's so much conversation about men wearing makeup. Should that be a conversation at all?
Just like Amira said, the pressure that women put on themselves, very similar to that, there are pressures that men put amongst themselves as well. I mean, I don't know if be a man is a woman telling a man or a man telling a man, but if in India, I've heard there's a thing that if you're a strong man, then you can't feel pain, and if you express pain, then that's your weakness as a man, right? I mean, who says these things? I don't know if women say these things to them or they say this to among themselves, but the fact of the matter is that it is important for a human to be able to express their emotions, whatever they are, and it is important to teach, especially the boys, to be able to express all kinds of emotion openly and without shame, and it's about mental health, whether it's men or whether it's women. As long as we raise this generation to be expressive and be accepting of themselves, whether makeup makes them happy. I mean, let them do it for a while, grow out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's important to teach them to accept themselves the way they are and break out of these stereotypes of men should be like this and women should be like this, and both these groups have to stop putting pressure on themselves pretty much.
For sure. I mean, with regards to work as well, I'm going to ask you this, Amira. I think homemakers is a term that's associated. Earlier it was housewives, of course, and then now we've progressed to homemakers. But then it's something that is always thought of for women. And then if you look at a stay-at-home dad, it is a new concept in itself. But then we also we as women tend to judge women who are not ambitious and who want to stay at home. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. Do you see that as a problem?
I do see that as a problem, to be honest. I see it as a matter of everybody needs to be comfortable in their own skin. If I decide I want to stay at home and raise my children, that is my decision. And I don't see it to be a discussion amongst anybody other than me and my husband.
Yeah.
I don't think that I should be judged for working or for staying at home, for spending 8 hours with my kid or for spending 1. It's what you decide and what you think is accepted and you're willing to give and you're willing to take from any role that you're in. So I think it's a matter of what you want to accomplish in life. Now, it gives you a bigger question of what you want to accomplish needs to come from you and not society's pressure of your expectations. If it is genuinely what you want, then 100% go for it.
Yes.
And do what you want to do. If tomorrow my husband was to come and say, you know what, I genuinely would want to stay at home and raise my kids, you would be an amazing father, I have no doubt, stay at home. Yeah. But it shouldn't be a matter of I feel pressured into staying at home because I'm a woman and I need to spend 8 hours with my kid. So I think it's dynamic. So going back to what you said earlier, just yesterday, one of my friends, she told me, she goes, I really respect how confident you are in your own skin. So I looked at her and I said, what do you mean? She goes, even when there are instances where I would think you would have to put makeup on, you just opt not to. And when I entered, I had a few people comment on my shoes because on my last interview, I was wearing Asics. And I wear Asics every day to work, if it's an event, if it's a formal, because you know what? I have a neck imbalance issue and I find it comfortable to wear sneakers.
Yeah.
So today I changed my shoes because after my last interview, I had a few people comment and saying, you're wearing, one of my best friends sent me the interview and he goes, all of this and you couldn't change your shoes. And I told him, I said, why are you expecting me to change my shoes? That's for my personal comfort. Is it affecting what I'm saying in the interview? It's not. Raise your eyes up from my shoes to my face. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So I think it also, this inherent judging comes from insecurity in your own being. If I'm comfortable with myself and my decisions, I'm not going to judge you for your decisions.
Yeah.
If I feel like I'm being pressured into my decisions, I'm going to start judging you, because I might feel envy, I might feel insecurity, I might feel, am I doing what's right? Is she doing what's right? But if I feel like I'm doing what I want to do, then it's indifferent to me what you decide to do in your life.
Yeah. But there's also this whole societal pressure of how you look. I get that a lot as a TV presenter. I have to look a certain way. I can't wear what I want to wear. I need to probably wear blazers if I'm doing like a business interview and stuff. And it also reflects in the way people react to me.
I don't think that's gender related. I think it's
Oh, no,
cultural,
yeah.
but I don't think it's wrong. So the other day I entered one of my offices and I saw a guy wearing loafers, and I said, that's not formal. You should be in dress shoes with your suit. And I didn't think that was inappropriate. I thought, he's a sales guy. There's a certain impression you need, and there's a dress code in the company, and you need to abide by that dress code. If I see a woman wearing something that might be too short, I don't think telling her, you know what, you need to be a little more conservative needs to be taken offensively. I think we're in a region where there's certain expectations of conservativeness, and it's out of respect for those around you. If you're expected to be in formal clothes, you're not going to go tell a guy who's a painter be in a suit all day.
Yeah.
But you're not going to go tell a CEO be in jeans in most of your meetings. So I think that comes with a certain, again, it's a matter of certain roles come with certain expectations, and that's not always wrong. As long as you're abiding by the minimum, you know?
Yeah, which is what I really wanted to come to. Is that a problem at all? So I'm not talking about it from a gender perspective, but presentation perspective and a society perspective. The way you look, should that really matter over what you have to offer as a person in terms of content?
I think it can't be an either or. I think you should dress the part. You don't have to go off and, really invest so much on your looks that you're not really paying attention to all the other parts of you. But I think it's the whole being that shows up to a meeting. And in order for me to not be, distracted by things that you're wearing and really hear you, I just want you to dress the part. So when in Rome, do as the Romans and dress the part where you are. And I think that's, and invest in all parts of you. I think you should invest in your mental health, your physical health, your wardrobe, if you're going out and presenting.
And I think, I love what Amira said about being comfortable in your skin, because authenticity is the power. If you're doing it from an authentic place, I don't care how you show up, that authenticity will shine through. And I've always, sometimes I've represented, the US in certain delegations, and people will be like, when is the real American coming? Or, they'll think I'm the translator. You need to get up from the table and sit in the translation booth. And I've totally turned it into a strength. I mean, as a negotiator, there's nothing better than being underestimated. Yeah. And so I could be upset and be like, if I was a man, they wouldn't treat me this way. But I'm like, you go ahead and underestimate me. Or, sometimes they'll be speaking in Arabic about the negotiation. I'm like, you go ahead and think I'm the translator. I'm the person you're going to deal with. So I think it's really also a perspective. Something that could be seen as a weakness can definitely be turned into a strength.
For sure. I mean, there's so much more that we need to talk about for this session, but unfortunately we're running short on time. But I'm just going to end with one question. If there's one thing that you want changed with the society or the way women are perceived, what would that be?
I don't know. I guess to change the way we raise the next generation, and to make the fact that being fair is more important and above anything, really. So as long as we teach our kids to be fair, we remind them that their mental well-being is above everything, and that will come from being authentic, that will come from recognizing who they are, from accepting who they are, from being comfortable in their skin. That's really the way forward for me.
Great. Manal?
I agree. I would say maybe the precursor I'd like to see is safety. We can't step into our full potential if we're not safe.
Yeah.
And we're not.
All right. Amira?
I think what I would say is to stop a habit of boxing people in. No matter gender, ethnicity, age, we have a habit as a society, as an entire mankind, to box people, to put them in a certain box and to say that's where you belong because of certain aspects.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's limited to any kind of specific category. I think the idea of allow people their space and allow the ability that it is not your life, it is theirs. You are living your life.
Yeah.
Everybody gets one shot. You're getting yours. Give them theirs.
Yeah. Right. And finally, Saliha?
I will echo what these ladies said. I think for me, it's really a future where men and women everyone can strive to be whole, that we can embrace all parts of us, where we are integrated beings, where our mental and our physical and our spiritual sense are all named and all embraced. So we aren't seeking perfection, we're seeking wholeness. And that requires us to create a safety and a context and opportunities where all those parts of us can actually show up.
Great, great. Thank you so much, ladies, for those valuable insights. We've definitely learned a lot, had so many new conversations, and I've personally learned a lot today. And thank you for watching ABTV's Roundtable. We will be back again with another session, and a very, very happy Women's Day to all the women who are watching us right now.